Hello everyone, I'm Sam Murray with the Scarlet Knights SportScene playoff update. It's that time of year where the cold starts to recede and the weather starts to get a little warmer, and that can be attributed to the North Andover Scarlet Knights playoff action heating things up. Coming up, we'll have playoff updates from the 4 North Andover winter sports teams recently in action, as the MIAA state tournament brackets just came out recently. Those 4 teams are the boys and girls basketball and hockey teams. And before we spring forward into a new season, let's recap some exciting playoff action. We'll start with the girls basketball team, who nabbed the 16th and final seed in Division I after finishing 10-10 on the season. In Coach Gestavini's second season at the helm, the girls clinched a tournament appearance in their final game of the season, which Captain Nora Connors described as keeping the fans on their toes. They traveled to face the Woburn Tanners, the number 1 seed, on Tuesday the 25th. The Knights hung in with the Tanners up until the half, as they trailed 22-14 heading into the final 16 minutes. However, after a 20-6 third quarter from the Tanners, the Knights found themselves in a deficit they could not make up, ultimately dropping the contest 54-32, with the Tanners satisfying their full house. While not the results they had hoped for, the season was still a big success, as the Knights doubled their win total from last season and accomplished their season-long goal, make the state tournament. And to quote Captain Sarah Melody,
"Enough said."
To the other end of the hardwood court, where the boys basketball team maneuvered their way into the state tournament for the 6th time in Coach Paul Tanglis' 7 years at North Andover. The boys were awarded the 15th seed in Division II, finishing the season with a record of 6-13. Their first test, a matchup against the 2nd-seeded Boston Latin Academy Dragons on Monday the 24th. And like the girls, things were looking promising for the Knights as they trailed by just 6 points heading into the half. However, the conclusion was unlike a typical St. George ending, as the Knights were unable to slay the Dragon and lost by a final score of 68-44. But after graduating arguably the most accomplished senior class in North Andover boys basketball history, you have to tip your cap to Tanglis and the Knights for finding their way into the state tournament yet again. Speaking of seasons worthy of congratulations, the HPNA combined girls varsity hockey team recently finished up their season, a season of historic proportions. They not only clinched the Merrimack Valley Dual County League Championship, but went the entire season without a single loss and were rated number 1 in the state. The top-seeded Hillies took to their home ice to face the number 32 seed, the Hingham Harbor Women. Both teams traded goals for most of regulation, with HPNA leading late 4-3, but it was a late Hingham score, a shorthanded goal, that knotted the score at 4 and sent the game into overtime. And that's where the HPNA season turned on its head. At 1:54 of overtime, Hingham's Piper Jordan put the puck between the pipes, and Hingham had themselves the upset win on the road. Hillies captains Hannah Keating and Eliana Kane each scored 2 goals, but the top-rated team now sees their season end at 18-1-2. Hingham will travel to Bourne to face Duxbury, as the championship picture has now been blown wide open. As far as the boys varsity hockey team goes, they went into the Division II North tournament as the number 6 seed, finishing their season with a record of 12-3-6. They went to Woburn to face the 11th-seeded Linfield. A handful of goals helped propel the North Andover boys to a 5-2 victory, and the Knights got goals from TJ Fredo, Thomas Doherty, Jack Rowe, Nick Harold, and Adam Hines. Next up on the docket, a Friday night matchup against the 3rd-seeded Tewksbury Redmen. These 2 teams have already met twice this season, and the Knights have had the better outcome with a 5-2 early season win and a 2-2 tie later on. So even though Tewksbury was the higher seed, North Andover certainly looked good going into this game at the Chelmsford Forum. Jack Rowe and Andrew Perry scored the first 2 goals for the Knights, but each time the Knights scored, the Redmen came back and tied it. But then, with 4:42 left in regulation, Jimmy Boyle netted another North Andover go-ahead goal, and from there, the Knights' defense and goaltender Patrick Green held Tewksbury at bay by a final score of 3-2. Knights win, Knights advance. They now move to the Division II North semifinal against, no folks, this is not an Aaron copy and paste error, the Warriors of Lincoln Sudbury High School. That game will be on March 3rd at, once again, the Chelmsford Forum. The winner of that game faces the winner of the other semifinal between Masconomet and Triton. And of course, we will bring you more coverage of the boys' playoff run in our playoff updates to come, as well as the next episode of Scarlet Knights SportScene. Now, before we close this playoff update, we would like to tell you about the restructuring of next year's playoff formats in high school sports. On Friday, the Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association voted to eliminate the sectional playoff structure. This will eliminate the North, South, Central, and West playoff brackets, and the new playoff seedings will be done statewide. There will be up to 5 divisions, determined by the number of schools participating in that sport, with at least 32 teams competing in each divisional bracket. Higher seeds will also host games all the way through the round of 8. That means a team from Western Mass could face a team from Cape Cod in the first round, and so on. Another change will involve the seeding of teams, as that will now be determined by the CBS Sports Service Max Preps. The Max Prep seeding formula will take into account several factors in rating each team, with strengths of schedule and scoring margins seeming to be the biggest and most controversial. While the system is still being disputed among high school athletic directors, coaches, parents, and fans, the measure has already passed, and Max Preps will begin seeding teams in the upcoming fall season. Stay tuned for more updates as the winter tournaments play out. With this Scarlet Knights Sports Team Playoff Update, I'm Sam Murray, and thanks for watching.